As we mentioned a couple weeks ago, New Orleans has so much to offer, especially when it comes to food and family activities. On this episode of The Road to New Orleans, presented by New Orleans Baptist Theological Seminary, Pastor Jay Adkins joins us to share some of his local favorites from around the Crescent City. All right, joining me this week on The Road to New Orleans is probably the person who is most excited about everybody coming to New Orleans this summer. It's Jay Adkins, pastor at First Baptist West Wego in the New Orleans area. Jay, thanks for being here.
Jonathan, it's a pleasure, man, and I am excited. There's a whole lot of us that are excited down here. It's not just me. I am really excited about SBC 23 being here in the Big Easy. It's going to be great.
And so I remember talking to you last year. I texted you and I said, hey, I got some news for you. It looks like we're going to have to move the 23 convention. And your response back was, please tell me it's coming to New Orleans. And I was like, yes. And I mean, you were just over the moon about it, ecstatic. And I am too. I'm really excited about us going to New Orleans because, I mean, we weren't supposed to go there anytime soon. It probably would have been 2030 or later. And, you know, last time we'd been there is 2012. We talked to Fred Luter on the series here as well. You know, whenever he was elected, it was a big moment in the convention's history. And it's just really good to be back 11 years later in what is one of my favorite cities, and I know is your favorite city. You're home now.
Yeah, and it's your home state. And so you're no stranger here. No. You know a lot about New Orleans. And so, man, I couldn't be more excited. And there's a number of reasons, actually, that's the case.
So we're going to talk about those reasons that you love New Orleans, and a lot of them are going to revolve around food. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. But what's the one thing, Southern Baptists coming to New Orleans, a lot of misconceptions, maybe preconceived notions and stuff. What's the one thing you want Southern Baptists to know about this great city?
Man, I appreciate that question. This is a hard place to do ministry. In many ways, it's very European. It's kind of post-Christian, post-modern in many ways. We are the only state in the Union that has parishes instead of counties, but really that link with even the Roman Catholic Church is long past its expiration date. And so it is a hard place, especially in Southeast Louisiana. You know that, Jonathan. Yes. I mean, here, it's very difficult. And so here's what I'm excited about. And I've been here, I've lived through Katrina here. This is the blessing. Every time the Southern Baptist Convention comes here in whatever form, be it the annual meeting or the blessing that the SBC has been in the aftermath of storms, every time it has been a tremendous blessing to our local churches. Really, there's an imprint that the SBC leaves here that when you guys, I say you guys, when our convention leaves or our representatives leave, we get the kind of the windfall benefit of the imprint that you've put here. And let's be honest, even economically, the money that the convention will bring into tourism here is going to be a tremendous benefit for our city. So it's a hard place, but I need you to know, I need the convention to know every time you show up here, it blesses our churches. And so I'm just thankful for that.
Yeah, we've got a lot of great episodes coming on the Road to New Orleans here. And one of them is going to be about crossover. We're going to talk to our friends at NAM and at the New Orleans Baptist Association about that and just the impact that Southern Baptists can make, not just, anytime during the year, whenever there's a crisis or something, but really just that weekend leading up to the convention. Crossover is going to be a great event, I know, and you can find out more about that over at the Send Relief Serve Tour website. We'll put that in the show notes for today's episode. But, we're going to get to the restaurants here in a minute, but first let's talk about things to do for families. I know a lot of people bring their families, bring their kids to these conventions. What are some, growing up in Louisiana, I know about some of the things to do. I mean, you got the Audubon Zoo, you've got the World War II Museum. Those are great. I mean, and you need to hit one of those, or if not both, while you're there in town. The Audubon Zoo is one of my favorite zoos in the world. And then, the World War II Museum is second to none. I mean, it is just an amazing place. What are some other places people need to consider going, things families can do? There's the Cabildo. I don't know if that's still open. You got a museum there in the French Quarter. So
absolutely.
What else is there?
Well, okay. So I have put together a list of this stuff. You might, I
Yes.
assume you're going to mention that in a minute.
Yeah.
I've got a list of lots of different things. I will tell you this: on my list is a number of museums, the Audubon Institutes, all those things. There's so many great. You mentioned the zoo, the Jazz Museum at the old U.S. Mint is a tremendous thing. It's got Louis Armstrong's original cornet in there, and so that's pretty cool.
That's a trumpet
if you
for
press me on,
the uninitiated folks.
yeah. That's right. That's right. And so if you press me on a few specific things, here's some stuff that I would suggest. Number one, consider taking maybe a cruise out
Yeah.
of the port of New Orleans before or after. That's always something that's an enjoyable, kind of extend your vacation maybe.
Or
you could
during,
do a swamp boat.
if you're me.
or during. No, not during.
Not during.
You stay here for the meetings.
All right.
Like Amy says, you got to be in the room.
Decisions
man.
are made by those who show up. That's right.
That's exactly right. And so
Swamp boat
consider
tours. Yeah.
yeah, swamp boat tours, airboat tours here in West Wego. We've got the best around, I think. Mardi Gras World would be a huge thing. It's actually right behind the convention center. That would be a wonderful visit.
Now,
And there's
I
even
haven't
some-
made it to that. What exactly is it? Just like,
it's the
a flea market of Mardi Gras stuff? I mean, is that
It's
basically
the
what we're talking about?
it's the fancy den of all the most famous Mardi Gras floats.
Okay.
And then other things. So there's a gift shop and there's all those sorts of things there. But it is really, you'd be surprised how interesting it is. It's
Okay.
really a lot of fun.
I'll have to check it out on one of our visits then.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity for your family to go do something very interesting and fun. And I would even suggest, man, there's a couple of really great riverboat cruises
Yeah.
that a family could do up and down the river. There's the Natchez and the Creole Queen. Both of those would be fantastic opportunities to get your family away for a day. You mentioned the World War II Museum. Let me just say something about that. I would argue it's one of the best museums in the world. It's on lists along those lines. But here's the deal. You really need to be able to spend some time there.
Yeah. That's not one that you
even-
just spend an hour or two in, right?
This is something that you'd want to spend even parts of a couple of days, and you still won't get it all in, but it is amazing. I had the privilege of wheeling both of my grandfathers, who were World War II vets, through there, and it was, to say the least, it was emotional. It's a wonderful, especially if you're a history buff, World War II Museum is a great opportunity.
All right. So that's great. And we'll put a list of all these things in the show notes. And Jay's got a list, and we're going to get to that list right now. So on to the main entree, if you will, of this interview, the food in New Orleans. First, Jay, you got to explain to folks. Everybody thinks Cajun, Creole. They don't really know the difference. Explain the difference, Cajun versus Creole food.
All right, that's a great place to start because there's a lot of misunderstanding there. It's been a bit of a melting pot over the years, but ultimately, this is the difference. Think of Cajun food as the hearty, kind of sausage, smoked meat, seafood-based food of the country people of Acadia. Those who really are parts of kind of central and southwestern Louisiana. It's very meaty, oftentimes a one-pot dish. Think of gumbos.
Your red beans and rice, your gumbos,
yes,
those kind of things.
jambalayas and those sorts of things.
Catfish couvillon.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Whereas Creole food has its genesis really with European, Caribbean, African. It's kind of a mixture of different. It's more of a city-oriented food. So Cajun food like dirty rice, alligator, frog legs, stuff that was available.
Boudin.
Yeah, boudin for the country people. Whereas Creole food would be like think of blackened fishes with cream or tomato sauces, things like that, or other roux.
Yeah, your etouffee.
Yes.
Those kind of things.
Yeah. So, and there are, for instance, there are Cajun and Creole versions of jambalaya and dirty rice, jambalaya and gumbos. But it's technically speaking, although Cajun food can be spicy and is often spicy, it's really the Creole food that has more of the different spices from different places that give it a little bit of a kick. So that's a great question. Great way to start.
And by the way, if you put tomatoes in your jambalaya, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
That
it depends on who you ask. That's for sure.
As somebody from Louisiana, man, I'm telling you, man, if you go to a place and they put tomatoes in your jambalaya, get up and walk out.
It's true. That's you're a classicist, brother. You're a traditionalist.
There's my take on this. All right, let's start with breakfast a little bit. All right, it's the most important meal today. You took me to a place. Last time I was there, I had the best waffle in my life. I know that sounds crazy. You're thinking, Jonathan, how can waffles be different? Trust me, folks, the Camellia Grill blew my mind with that waffle. It's over in Carrollton, over there by the river. So
Okay. All right. Yeah, it is. It is an amazing restaurant. Here's the deal about the food here. You can't find bad food.
no,
There's
'cause
not
bad
bad.
restaurants. They close.
That's exactly
There's too
right.
much good food for the bad food to exist.
Yeah, they do not stay open. So for breakfast, yeah, I knew you were going to mention the Camellia Grill. It's fantastic. Slim Goodies.
Waffle changed my life, man.
It's fantastic. Slim Goodies is a great spot on Magazine. There's like a regional chain of Ruby Slipper. They're all fantastic. Surrey's Cafe on Magazine is fantastic. You just can't go wrong. Again, I have a list of my
Yes.
top favorite 10 breakfast places, and so you can't find a bad.
You
spot.
put a chain place on there, though.
I did put a chain, and I've already been ripped by that. But let me tell you, the chain place is good. And so
Okay.
I'm just saying, there's lots of, in fact, I would argue the versions of the chains here are going to be better than the versions of the chains in the other place. So
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
It's really good. It's all really good.
All right. Now we got lunchtime.
Yeah.
I mean, when I think New Orleans, I think lunch, I think po' boy.
Yeah.
So
Po' boy's
I
the
mean,
way to go.
Po' boy is the way to go. All right. So, and there's one you've been telling me about. I have not been to yet.
Yeah, we got to
But
take you there. Parkway.
I need to get there. Parkway
Bakery and
Bakery?
Tavern. Yep. Yeah, it is
Okay.
fantastic. Po' boys for lunch is the standard go-to. Of course, gumbo. If it's Monday, red beans and rice. That's what everybody does for lunch on Mondays. Those are all winners. Po' boys come in lots of different versions. There you get breakfast po' boys. You can even get hamburger po' boys. Popular ones are, of course, like fried shrimp po' boys, roast beef po' boys. You can get soft shell crab po' boys. In fact, at Parkway Bakery, my favorite po' boy in the entire area, or poor boy, which is poor boy. My favorite one is the surf and turf. It's fried shrimp and roast beef, and it is messy and it is glorious. But you're going to stand in line.
The roast beef part's something people need to know about. This isn't just like sliced roast beef like you go get at Jason's Deli or McAllister's or something that. Right?
That's right.
Folks, this is going to come. You're going to need a pile of napkins.
Yeah. And a fork.
It's going to come smothered. I mean, like, just forget eating. Yeah, like you said, forget eating it with your hands. Just go in with a fork and a knife, and nobody will look at you funny. But trust me, and they're amazing. So
Yeah. Now let me mention this too, because I put a little note here. I didn't want to forget this because this is important. When you guys are looking for food places, keep in mind that restaurants here are a bit hinky about.
Yeah,
days,
I was going to mention this.
Yeah, days being open and even times. For instance, the Parkway Bakery, it's closed on Mondays and Tuesdays. Places like Willie Mae's Scotch House and Dookie Chase's restaurant, like they close at odd times. They're not open in the evenings, and so when you pick your spots,
and some of them aren't open on Mondays. Mondays and Tuesdays, you really got to watch down there.
That's exactly right.
That's something I've learned. I wasn't used to that. That doesn't happen here in Nashville.
Right. So
when
you pick your spot to eat, make sure you call ahead of time to take a look to make sure it's open and your time's right. So I wanted to mention
use
that
your phone, check and see if it's on. Use Yelp, Google, whatever you can.
That's right.
Because the last thing you want to do is show up place and it not be open, and then you're scrambling trying. Because that happened to us one day.
Yeah, yes, it
Remember,
did.
we were like, we'll go so and so. They're
That's
open.
right.
Well, no, they weren't. Oh, we'll go so and so. It's open. No, it's not. No, it's not. We wound up at Port of Call. Which I think is the best burger in the city.
It is. It's absolutely the best hamburger. And it's right there on the downriver side of the French Quarter.
Yeah.
Great little place to be. You can walk to. It's really nice.
Yeah. Been going there for years. So I've probably been going there for 25 years,
there
I guess.
There you go. Yeah. Great place.
So as long as I could drive, and I've been to New Orleans, that's always been a spot. So, all right, now dinner time. I mean, there's the famous places. There's the Commander's Palace, the Brennan's, the Emerald. I mean, you've got all these places. Antoine's, Galatoire's. I mean, you can't go wrong with any of the ones I just listed.
No,
but, there's more.
That's right. You just made a great list yourself. A traditional French Creole dinner is certainly on the menu, as they say. There are fantastic restaurants. I mean, Ruth Chris Steakhouse started here in New Orleans. That's why their menu.
There you go, naming chains again.
Oh, well, but I'm telling you, it started here, and the menu is uniquely New Orleans. But that's what I'm saying. Even that started here. I would argue for a great steak. Go to Crescent City Steaks. There's man, I can't even start this conversation. There are so many places you mentioned. Again, I've got stuff on my list that you can take a look at. You can't go wrong You're not going to find a bad spot in a bad meal.
And honestly, that's the case. Like, I've been down there now, we've been planning, doing things, and we will, hit a place for dinner or whatever. And it's just like, I've never heard of this place, but it's amazing. It's kind of one of those things you're just like, the thing that's been the big find for me, Superior Seafood.
Oh, yeah.
That we've gone to. You went with us one night. I think it was the week of my birthday or whatever, and y'all embarrassed the mess out of me about that. But the crawfish cornbread there changed my world. It's a crawfish. It's got cornbread that's infused with crawfish, and then crawfish etouffee on top. I mean, like, what's not to love about that?
I know, man. My mouth is watering the more you talk.
We are doing this at the wrong time of day. It's still like an hour away from lunchtime when we're recording this.
You're right.
This is the wrong time of day to be doing this, but it's amazing. So I'm just going to be starving all day now. All right, so lightning round time. Okay. We've talked a lot of restaurants and everything. So here we go. Best beignets.
Gosh, you can't go wrong with Cafe Du Monde or the other one, Morning Call.
Cafe Beignet or Morning Call. I would go Morning Call. That's just me.
Yeah, I like Morning Call. Yeah.
And one note on Cafe Du Monde: if you're going to go to the one in the French Quarter, cash. It's cash only.
Cash only.
So
and
that's just a quick tip there.
Unfortunately, they're not back yet to serving at the tables. You have to go up to the window, which is really terrible. But hopefully that'll change.
It's fine. It's fine.
That's right.
So also, again, beignets. Put them in if they give you a bag, put them in the bag, shake the bag, get the powdered sugar all over them instead of just having it on top.
Yeah, you know
how to do this thing. Best oysters.
Char grilled, I assume you're talking about. I would say Drago's, although folks love New Orleans hamburger and seafood. I mean, New Orleans Food and Spirit, Felix's, Acme, but Drago's is my favorite.
Yeah, so I haven't been to Drago's yet, but whenever we were talking to Fred Luter, we were talking about and that's going to be on one of the episodes here on the road to New Orleans.
Right.
We were talking about oysters, and I told him, I said, I've never had them. I think I was with you maybe the first time I had the char-grilled oysters. You talked me into it. It's blown my mind.
It's amazing.
So it's a life-changing experience. Yeah. Best po' boy we've already talked about. I think that's going to be Parkway.
Surf and Turf. Parkway. So Surf and
All right. Parkway. Okay. Best Creole restaurant.
Well, if you're going to say
way
the
to
best,
narrow that down, Jonathan.
Yeah. You almost have to go with Commander's Palace. Like, it's the world famous. For traditional French Creole restaurants. But I mean, you've mentioned them, Antoine's, Galatoire's, Arnold's. There's just so many. And they're going to be on the higher end. They're going to be on the expensive end. But they're.
So I've been to Commander's Palace once in my life.
Gotcha.
And you know the thing that I would go back there for?
What's that?
The bread.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
I mean,
well said.
The food was great.
I know.
But like the bread was just like, what is this? Like, this
manna. It's manna from
level.
heaven. Yeah, it's
next level.
It's wonderful.
And I know that sounds crazy to say at a world famous restaurant for all these dishes. They know how to do bread.
You're absolutely right.
Best Cajun restaurant.
Okay, now honestly, there's so many great places, but I'll just tell you, Mulat's right across the street from the convention center is probably as good or better than any. We know the owners, but I'm telling you, it's a huge place. There's live music, Zydeco music. They do the dishes correctly. They do all the Cajun dishes, and so for those of y'all that are going to be at the convention, I mean, that's what we're talking about here. Walk across the street and go to Mulat's. Great place.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Come early, come often on that one. Best local dish. I think I know what you're going to answer.
You know what I'm going to answer. My favorite. Now, I've got probably a top 10 of my favorite dishes that I didn't list, but I probably should. My favorite dish in New Orleans is at New Orleans Food and Spirits. And in fact, it's not even in the city of New Orleans. They're both
it's in Metairie.
Yeah, they're both. The two are both in Jefferson Parish. So in Metairie and then over here on the West Bank. But New Orleans Food and Spirits, the blackened redfish pontchartrain is
so we have
amazing.
So, blackened redfish.
Yeah, blackened redfish
with
angel hair pasta.
Yep, with a cream sauce.
Cream sauce with crawfish in it.
Crawfish, and it's spectacular. I've had that too.
It's
spectacular.
It's my favorite, and I've got a bunch of favorites, but that's my go-to.
All right. Well, I think we've already covered this one. Best restaurant in walking distance of the convention center.
Well,
I mean,
Mulat's is great.
You can't go wrong there.
I actually I added to my list, and I've got 10 restaurants that are kind of in walking vicinity. Flamingo A Go Go is a great spot. A Peche is a great spot. There's plenty.
I've
of
been to
restaurants.
Pesh, and that one's a little on the like somebody took us to that one,
right.
and it's a little on the pricier side. So
it is. But
I was a little like, I wouldn't be paying for this if this was me for this lunch, but I was, they were treating us.
There's a broad spectrum of places. There's a great pizza place. I'm trying to think of the name of it. I didn't write it down. There's a great pizza place.
I know what you're talking about. It's right there. Yeah,
right across the
right down there.
There's lots of places you're going to have, and then we're right next to the Riverwalk Mall, and they have a little food court upstairs, and so there'll be plenty of food.
And there's a Raising Cane's in there, which
that's right.
I mean,
that's right.
We don't have somehow we don't have Raising Cane's here in New Orleans, and I grew up with that in Louisiana, and I don't know how we don't have that here in Nashville.
It's a chain, but it's a Louisiana-based chain that is fantastic.
Yeah, my son in California has one right down the street from him.
That's right.
But I don't have one here in Nashville, and I'm still trying to figure that out. So, but I think one's coming. All right, tourist trap to avoid or skip.
Okay, this is a good question. Any of the trinket shops on Decatur?
No, I'm talking about restaurant-wise.
Oh man, I thought we were going in a different direction. Tourist traps.
The one that comes to mind is Mother's.
Well, okay, yeah, it's a major tourist trap. But it's good food.
It's good, but it seems like I can get better food at cheaper prices somewhere else.
Well, that's arguable
because it's pricey. Because I had a po' boy there one time, and I was stunned.
Yeah.
At the pricing of that.
That's a good point. You're right about that. It's just so popular. There's always a line, and it's not just a line because it's great. It's a line because everybody knows about it. You know what I'm saying? Parkway, it's a line because it's great. I hate to say it that way, but there's a difference there. Okay. I'll give you that one. Sure.
All right. Tourist trap that lives up to the hype.
Oh my gosh. I would.
Commanders?
Yes. Willie Mae's Scotch House. It's not much of a tourist trap.
People don't know about that.
Yeah, no, you're right. Commanders does live up to the hype. Yeah. And Antoine's.
Brennan's, Antoine's, Commanders, they all live up to the hype.
All of those live up
Everything you've heard about of those places, folks, it's true. They're amazing.
That's good.
All right. The place where the locals eat.
I can't answer that. I can't answer that. Jonathan,
you're not going to give away the secret.
Listen, no, not that. Although I probably let me explain this to you. And you know this. There are little hole-in-the-wall restaurants in neighborhoods that are just as good as any of the other ones that we've said. That's where the neighbors go.
True.
I'll give you, for instance, real quick here. One of my favorite new restaurants is right over here on the West Bank. It's in Gretna. And
you told me about this.
Chicken's Kitchen. When you're back next time, we need to go over there. Chicken's Kitchen, soul food, might be the best food I've ever put in my pie hole. I mean, it is unbelievable. So I can't even answer that question. There are too many restaurants that locals go to that know about. I don't even know how to parse that out for you, man.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned one earlier, New Orleans Food and Spirit.
Food and Spirit's fantastic.
I mean, and I forgot. I just remembered one, but the tourist trap that lives up to the hype. Acme Oyster House.
Acme,
Everybody's heard of that?
Sure.
That's
exactly right.
There's a reason people know about it.
No,
and
you're
I
absolutely
said the same
right.
thing about Mother's. I just think Mother's is pricey, and the food you can get the same food somewhere else.
Very well
said.
But
Acme, I'm blown away by that place.
Yeah, very well said.
All right, last question. Okay. The one restaurant. If you have one restaurant, you cannot miss this restaurant while you're in town. That would be?
It would be Dookie Chase's restaurant.
Dookie Chase.
Let me explain why.
And I love the reason because you've taken me there and it's fantastic.
It's more than just the food. In fact, and the problem is they close early, and so not everybody's going to be able to get to it that wants to. Presidents have dined there. This place is important in history. It was a gathering place during the civil rights struggle. The former matriarch, Miss Leah Chase, who I've got to introduce some people to. In fact, Dean and Chrissy and Sarah got to take them back there before Miss Leah died. She's the person that Disney patterned Princess Tiana after for the Princess and the Frog movie. The collection of art in that room. That's the reason I would pick it. I mean, there's a million restaurants I could have said. I would say Dookie's because of the history. It's just teeming, seeping with history, important cultural ideas that happened there. It's really quite an experience. It's really something else.
Yeah, and I think I had the gumbo there that day, and it was amazing.
Oh my gosh!
I mean, you can't beat
Can't beat the gumbo.
And it's got the fried chicken there too. I think is also
That's right.
a big hit. So
That's right. That's
I mean, yeah. Again, you and I, we could do like an hour and a half show on this
That's true.
type of stuff.
It's true.
For me growing up there and just being around and you living there,
Yeah.
I mean, it's fun. Like every time, I remember a couple years ago, I don't remember what hurricane it was. There was a hurricane that was coming, and I had to come down for a funeral or something. And I called you up. I'm like, hey, we want to grab dinner. And you're like, bro, there's a hurricane coming. I'm like, oh, I did not know that.
Yeah.
But I got out right before the hurricane. But
That's right.
we had dinner, and I'm like, hey, where we go? And you're like, let's go to whatever. I don't remember where it was. It was over by the airport. And you took me to a place, and I'm like, I've never heard of that. But
Yep.
you say it's good, so I'm going to go there. And it was amazing.
It was.
And,
yeah,
you know,
right.
and then we took off. So
It's gonna be a great
it's
time,
always,
bro.
Yeah.
It's
I'm
going
really
to be a great
excited about
time.
it.
Lots of great food, wonderful options. I mean, what's better than Baptists get together to hug one another and fellowship around a good
Hey,
meal? This is
there
the
we go.
place. This is the place.
Yes, this is absolutely the city to do that. So we're excited about it. I'm excited about being down there. I know you are as well.
Yes, indeed.
Folks, bring your appetite to New Orleans. Jay, thank you again for joining us on the road to New Orleans. Appreciate everything you're doing down there, helping us out with the local arrangements and local encouragement team, cheering that up for us and really beating the drum for Southern Baptist Ministry in New Orleans. And Jay, we really appreciate what you're doing down there.
Happy to help, brother. Looking forward to seeing everybody.
And thank you again for joining us this week on the road to New Orleans.